Hello and welcome to the Through the Decades April 2026 Premodern Monthly, coming to you from Through the Decades in Louisville, Kentucky. Today is going to be the start of something new here on the channel. Through the Decades has decided to start live streaming our monthly events, and we're pulling our footage straight from that stream. Now, as when anything changes, there are some growing pains, and one of those was some audio issues throughout round one. So we're going to be doing some post-event commentary for this match, which features Kenneth on the bottom with F.I.W.B and Blake on the top with Burn. And after that, we'll have a bonus game, which we'll talk about after our round one match is over. But we'll get to the coverage from round one after a word from our sponsor. Through the Decades, in conjunction with the Ohio River Boas, are proud to bring you Grand Prix Louisville on June 6, 2026. If you ever find yourself missing not only the pre-modern era of Magic the Gathering, but the old tournament structure, this will be the event for you. The entry fee for the main event is $60 and will include a specially designed Grand Prix Louisville playmat and a stamped card. Prize support for the main event will be $5,000, paying out to the top 16, along with a Magic the Gathering themed championship belt for the winner. Side events will include some retro booster drafts, including Mirage Block, Tempest Block, and Urza's Block, along with a Pauper Win-a-Duel giving out a Tundra to first place and a Bayou for second place. The main event will max out at 300 players, so seating is limited as we throw one of the largest celebrations of the pre-modern format to date. So, don't miss your chance to be part of pre-modern Magic history and sign up by scanning the QR code on the screen. All right, and up first we've got Ken's list of, well, honestly, F it we ball, and this is a spicy one. I'm gonna be completely honest. To give the elevator pitch, it is a list that is trying to ramp out fast creatures like Skizzix, Ball Lightning, and Blistering Firecat, or even a Ravenous Baloth or Wildfire Emissary, which, with that protection from white, gets around Swords to Plowshares and Parallax Wave, which is pretty important in this pre-modern format. And then they use cards like Lotus Petal, Orcish Lumberjack, and Tinderwall to ramp those cards out. Very niche cards, but very playable in this format, at least when we're trying to do something like this, I guess. And we've also got some Earthquakes and Pyroclasms to help clean up some small creatures. One Relentless Assault, because if you want to bash them in the face with a Blistering Firecat, why not do it twice? And then just a very bare mana base, 4 Wooded Foothills, 10 Mountain, 9 Forest, which seems very strange in a list that plays triple red cards like Ball Lightning and Blistering Firecat until you realize that Orcish Lumberjack, you can tap it to sacrifice a forest to add 3 mana of any combination of red and or green mana. So that's what we're doing to try and get like a turn 2 Blistering Firecat out or a turn 2 Ravenous Baloth. Then our sideboard, well, Ken loves him some unique cards to say the least. We've got Anarchy, Burnout, for the love of God, a Crawworm, Decree of Annihilation, Earthquake, Flaring Pain, Overlord, 1 Pyroblast, 2 Red Blast, and 4 Pyrostatic Pillars. So it looks like he doesn't want to lose to Fast Combo or maybe like the Burn matchup. But otherwise, it's a little all over the place. But speaking of the Burn matchup, that is what Blake is on here today. And Austin, why don't you talk about that deck?
Yeah, so looking at this is it looks right off the rip more or less like a normal burn deck until you kind of start to dig into some of these creatures. The one that sticks out is 3 Mog Maniacs,
Oof.
which it goes really well with those 2 Earthquakes that he has in his sorcery pile there as well.
Now, I
Um,
will say, actually, to just interject real quick, we had a
yeah,
burn player there. Brian Reeves was talking about a matchup against Blake later on where Brian had a Jackal Pup or two out and Blake had a Mod Maniac, and Brian was absolutely sweating an Earthquake off the top. So it is a little intimidating. You're not wrong.
oh yeah, definitely. And speaking of intimidating, it's like once uh Blake hits 3 mana, he can start casting Browbeats as well in this list. He's got a full play set of those guys, so he could really start getting the cards flowing or have his opponent take 5. Your life total is definitely under pressure with this list.
Yeah, this
And
is
looking at the
definitely
sideboard,
aggressive.
yeah, it's like looking at the sideboard. Those 3 Ensnaring Bridges are just sticking out like a sore thumb. If Kenneth is trying to attack with a Blistering Firecat, Ensnaring Bridge does a very good job of making it where that doesn't happen.
Oof. Yeah. Yeah, this sideboard certainly is something, especially that forest and for naturalizing tranquil domain out of burn. Somebody doesn't want to lose to Enchantress.
Yeah, it's like that'll definitely be a swerve that if he ever plays a Enchantress, they will not see that coming.
No, not at all. But seeing as we are not watching that matchup, but instead F.I.W.B Ball versus Burn, we'll just have to see how this goes as we get to our game number one right now. All right, looks like we've got a pair of Keeble hands, Blake with 7 and Kenneth with 6, and starting off with a Grim Lavamancer. All right, and we are starting off with Mountain and okay, the Lumberjack here. That's a good start.
Yeah, we'll see if Blake is able to shoot it down with like Lava Mancer, but if not,
Yeah,
ooh, okay. Clock
yeah,
Fanatic also does pretty good job of it.
it does not surprise me that that creature's not long for this world, and that's going to be kind of the unfortunate situation of this. And also, yes, okay, Blake. Fortunately, we had a little bit of issues with our life total iPads, so that'll be coming out between game 1 and 2 here. But
Yeah,
yeah, so looks like we have a Tinder Wall here from Ken. So hey, that's at least gonna eat an incinerate. Yeah, an incinerate. Yeah,
yeah.
just oh sorry.
And for this, it's like Blake is using a bunch of his burn spells on Ken's setup pieces. So if Ken's still able to find lands and has something like those Blistering Firecats, Skizix, and such like that, they're going to be able to do some good work against him,
Yeah, I see at
against
least a
Blake.
ball lightning and looks like
Yeah.
a wildfire emissary. Okay, and a
Okay.
browbeat,
Ooh.
and we got a reader there.
Oh
Now
yeah.
browbeat's commonly or an uncommonly used card in this format, just because it's either draw 3 or take 5 damage. Sorry, the burn player draws 3. Uh,
Yeah.
those they're called Punisher mechanics. They can be a little questionable use sometimes because your opponent always gets to make the choice. So it's the choice that's worst for you. But I don't know, doing 5 damage for 3 mana isn't the absolute worst thing you can do. I mean, Flames of the Bloodhand got played for a while, and so did Char.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
just,
Char did less than that and did damage to you as well. So
but it could also target a creature. But
yeah, that
still,
that is true.
all right. Looks like we've got a Wildfire Emissary and a Grim Lava Man. Now I saw a Fire Blast at least in Blake's hand. So
Saw that as
with Kin
well.
at 10, we could be getting pretty close to the danger zone here.
Yeah. Yeah. Kenneth is essentially at 4. Well, now essentially at 2. So
Yes. So
any
any,
more burn off the top is going to be lights out.
I mean, honestly, I think it could be lights out here because if we just seal a fire at the face, take him to 8, and then cast the
Yeah.
Fire Blast, floating a mountain, then you get to 2 them, and then you've got enough cards in the graveyard to kill him. So we've got a Skizik. Okay. And yeah, that's an Earthquake and a Fire Blast in hand. So I think that's taking that hit to the face is pretty safe. Now
Yeah.
going down to 8. Then we're exiling. Okay, now he can exile here. Now he's at
Yep.
6.
Yeah, he can Yep, and then he can just exile the 2 mountains that he pitches to Fire Blast. So yeah,
Yes. So it looks like we are gonna
this
be
game looks a lot
just. Oh, we're actually going with the
okay. We're gonna
Earthquake line and a fight. Yeah, I
okay.
mean, however we want to do it, it's still gonna get us
Yep.
there. So that is gonna be it for game one. Looks like it, unfortunately, looks like this is going to be what's kind of indicative of this matchup. It's just going to be the fact that those burn spells are going to be able to take down the X1s like Ball Lightning and Blistering Firecat. It's going to be a lot more difficult for Ken to get through with those against this deck than against, say, Enchantress or against, say, Dreadnought.
Yeah.
But
Just
as our players go
every
to, oh sorry,
yeah, it's like every single piece of burn is also interaction for Ken's main game plan. So
yeah,
there's probably what right about 20-25 ways of interaction. That's not the best for a bunch of Ball Lightnings and Blistering Firecats.
yeah, and actually, as we can see the sideboards here, since again this is just the live footage is coming straight through on the re-record, I see those ensnaring bridges coming in because that's gonna be pretty bad here for Ken, especially if those can stick. We can do
Yeah.
a reasonable facsimile of what used to be called the old Burning Bridges deck. But with that said, let's actually take a look at the sideboards here and see exactly what we think the players are going to bring in. before we do get back to game two. All right, and taking a look back at Ken's F.I.W.B ball list, I do not love our sideboard options here. I think our best options are to bring in the pyrostatic pillars again, just to kind of tax the life totals there, especially if the burn player's trying to play a lot of cheap spells. And then you could probably get away with bringing in an earthquake and a craw worm, maybe. I know it seems so silly, but having a four butt seems better than the one butts that I'm going to be suggesting that we cut, like probably four ball lightnings and two blistering fire cats. And the reason that we're keeping fire cats over ball lightnings are probably because you can just play that fire cat face down as a 2/2. So you can at least have a staying power creature there to block and not get yourself killed. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying here. There's just so many points of interaction that Blake has that this just feels like a really tough matchup.
Yeah. And definitely not one that Cam wanted to see. Now, as we take a
Definitely not.
look over here at the burn list, Austin, what do you think? What are your thoughts here? What are we bringing in? What are we taking out?
Well, speaking of bad matchups, it looks like it's only going to get worse for Kenneth because those three ensnaring bridges are going to come right in this matchup,
Yeah.
making it where ball lightnings, blistering fire cats, skizzics like that, they're not going to be able to attack prof or really at all here. So all three of those are going to come in, and I bet we're going to cut the two earthquakes and our own ball lightning. Just it makes sense to cut the card that we're trying to beat, so cut it on our side. And the earthquakes, Kenneth's creatures don't really stay on the battlefield all that long, so earthquake just doesn't make a lot of sense here.
Yeah. And now this is also considering if, well, it does seem like Blake knew because we did see him pull out the ensnaring bridges, but other than the Skizzics, there was no ball lightning. There was no, like, effort we ball is certainly something that we do, or that is, I would say, off meta, far off meta. So
It's very
maybe
much a Kenneth
Blake.
special.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But what I'm trying to say there is maybe Blake. I mean, at least if we're in Kenneth's seat, obviously we know because we saw him reach for those ensnaring bridges and shuffle them in. But maybe Ken gets that little bit of an extra edge by not having played Ball Lightnings or Blistering Fire Cats. But yeah, we know after the fact, having seen it there, yeah, he brings those in. So that could certainly be rough.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's see if Ken can squeak out game two and hopefully get us to a game three as we get back to that match right now. All right, and it looks like we've got a pair of keepable hands. Kenneth this time keeping seven, and Blake mulling down to six. And oh, wow, a turn one pyrostatic pillar. So it looks like that did come in.
Yeah. And I see in a steering bridge up at Blake's hand as well. So those definitely came in, and he's got one right off the rip.
Yeah. Now, did it? I didn't have a great look at his hand, but does it look like he's only got one land in there? Did he keep a one lander?
I think he may have.
Well, let's see how that works out. Okay, Mog Fanatic coming down. And what is okay? So a Tinder Wall. That's gonna definitely block. Yeah, it looks like we do have a one lander there. Now, I do have to say, I don't know if you saw that or not. That lightning bolt that was altered to have the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger logo on it. I hope we get to see that
Oh,
played
that's
at
what
some
it
point
is.
because that is
Yeah, that I saw
delightful.
that. I was confused by that for a second. That's what that is. Thank you.
Yeah, no, he had shared those previously on the Premodern Discord. And it looks like a
Oh,
Pyroclasm
yeah,
cleaning up and not killing the Tinder. That's a little surprising to me. I figured that we'd want to point at
yeah,
least one point of damage to be able to attack through with creatures.
I agree.
But looks like Blake is still stuck on one land here, and Ken is dropping a. Okay, so
A fire cat.
Firecat.
Ooh,
Oh, and okay, there we go. There's your full look at that lightning bolt.
yeah, that's nice.
Now, Firecat conveniently not triggering the pyrostatic pillar since it does cost four.
Yes, really, all it's going to take for Kenneth here is just to hit really with one of those uh ball lightnings or fire cats or something, just to make it where Blake can't cast spells anymore under this pyrostatic pillar.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if he doesn't get to hit with one, I mean, he's going to try to, but he's still going to make Blake use resources. Like those seals of
Oh,
fire
definitely.
have to sit and wait. Like if we have a
Yeah.
Skizzix here, like that's a 5-3. You can't.
Yeah, he's gonna have to throw both of them at him. And
Oh,
this is what, yeah,
oh,
this
oh, we're
purple,
getting
that's
a
what I'm thinking.
kicked
Yep.
Skizzix. Oh my goodness.
Woo.
And yep, we are throwing all the burn spells out. Okay, second land and a pass. Are we get?
Was that another one? Oh
Yeah.
man.
Oh, that is a
Yep.
thing of beauty right
Yes,
there.
all right. Ooh.
And there's a
And here
bridge.
comes the insane bridge. Yep. But looking at it, it looks like Blake's life is only at 4, so he only can cast one more spell at this point.
Yeah.
But I did also see a curse scroll, so I wonder if Blake's gonna decide that to be his one last card. Ooh, and a 2/2. It's gonna be able to get under there. Looks like there's a fire blast though.
There is a fire blast in hand, and we may very well have to
Yeah,
point that
I agree.
at that morph creature, which
Not
we know to be a blistering fire cat.
Yeah, not exactly where you want to be.
You know, the funny thing here is Curse Scroll, while it looks like it's good as a repeatable source of damage, is pretty wretched here.
Yeah.
If we think about it, just because the hand is going to get full.
Mm-hmm.
Ken's swinging in for 2. I think we have you. You have to imagine he's
You
going to
have
fire
to
blast
block.
here. No, a block.
Yeah, it's like I think you have to block here.
All
Yep.
right, the unmorph.
And now it's gonna get fire blasted. Yeah.
Yeah, as much as I
I
don't
know.
want him to have unmorphed and done all that, that does make sense because obviously you have to make him have
Yeah.
it.
Now this, but
And
it's
the
like
burn
now this
player,
goblin control's gonna be able to attack for 5 turns under this ensnaring bridge.
yeah. Now the yeah that is. Hopefully Ken can draw something like I don't know a an earthquake would get us there.
Yeah. It's like if you kept it in earthquakes,
Yeah, that could be the
but
problem, as he may not have.
no, and it's already looking like at this point, yeah, that he didn't. Even earthquake now would just be a draw. So
Yeah, all right. And Ken drawing a this actually wraps it up here. It looks like unfortunately because if we're gonna attack
yeah,
here, puts him at 2. Like a crawl worm would be nice.
that'd be a big game.
Oh, and there we go.
Yep.
We've got the handshake here,
Oh,
so looks like Ken was able to ramp out that power stack pillar real quick, and then unfortunately just kind of got the short end of the stick from there. So that is gonna be it for this game. But we will actually have our bonus game 3 between 2 players, which we will discuss here in just a moment. But let's get over to those decks here in just a second. All right, and now we're going to go over to our bonus match, which features Jonathan on the bottom playing Stifle Knot and Dan on top playing Full English Breakfast with Hermit Druids in there. And first of all, we're looking at Jonathan's deck list here. It's a pretty bog standard Phyrexian Dreadnought list. Dreadnoughts, ways to prevent its trigger from happening, so Vision Charms and Stifles, and the full suite of cantrips and counter spells. Nothing too terribly spicy. It is playing 2 Mishra's Factories as a secondary win condition, which is fair considering that there are a lot of hate pieces out there for the Dreadnoughts. And also, Powder Keg stands out a little bit, and the Misdirection. Now, things that really do stand out to me, though, are the sideboard Dodecapods. Uh, we are recording this just after LobsterCon 2026, and Dreadnought took a little bit of a drubbing at the hands of Moneyball, so this could be sort of a nod to that, even though LobsterCon hadn't happened at this point. But I think Jonathan recognizes that the Moneyball matchup is a little bad. And then, of course, you got cards like Annul, Hydroblast, Essence Flare, 2 Brain Freeze, one Powder Keg, one Hibernation, and one Blue Elemental Blast. So just a pretty bog standard list here. Now, his opponent, though, is going to be Dan here on Full English Breakfast. Now, Austin, you've had some success with this deck. Why don't you walk us through it right quick?
Yeah. So looking at this HFAB list, it looks fairly standard. It has the new Battlefield Scrounger tech in here as well. Also like to note that there's three Volaf shapeshifters in this list. That's something that I've also done and I've liked a lot, playing three over two. So outside of that, I would say everything else is what you would expect to see in an HFAB list. Uh, what we're going to be bringing in this matchup, I could see these Anted Swarms coming in. The Eladamri's Vineyard, I think, could be an interesting card that may be brought in as well, just to speed up our clock a little faster. Also helps beat cards like Days, so we just have more mana floating around. Uh, the Naturalize and the Utabi Orangutans to fight the Dreadnought as it comes in would also make sense to me, along with a Duress just to try to help break up their combo and to see if the coast is clear if they don't have a foil or a counterspell like that.
And that makes sense. And actually, I forgot that we needed to talk about that for our Stiflenaut deck as well, which we'll hop back there in just a second since we are hopping in, I believe, at game three. Now, I'll be completely honest. I have no idea what to take out. Do you have any insight of your own on what you think that we would be taking out here?
Yeah, I could see kind of stuff like Wall of Roots getting on the sideline, though it does add mana. I think you could trim a little bit of that because they're not really blocking the Dreadnought very profitably that way.
Yeah,
Um, really outside of that,
maybe the
not a
Elvis,
whole lot else that I could see. Yeah,
the
the Elven
Spirit
Spirit
Guide.
Guide. Yeah, that right about that, I would say.
And I think those are safe cuts just because we're not trying to be as fast as you would, normally want to be with this deck because you know your opponent is going to have disruption for your fast combo. So you need to be a little more
Exactly.
resilient and be able to fight through the hate there. So yeah, I think I agree with the Wall of Roots for sure and the Elvish Spirit Guides. And then otherwise, it's probably just trim a card here or there. Maybe the Scrounger could
Yeah,
probably
it's like a
go.
maybe Unearth. I can see you trimming one of those.
Yeah, just some trim to
Um,
form.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then now hopping just back to Stifle Knot here. I think we'd probably be pretty safe bringing in Annulls for sure. You could try and get cute bringing in Brain Freeze if you wanted, just because if they're trying to stack their deck in a specific way, you could put cards into the graveyard to just entirely spoil the game plan there. And then otherwise, Powder Keg could be pretty good, helping to answer Birds of Paradise quickly. Just putting more permanents
Yeah,
in the graveyard and Hibernation as well. As for what we would cut, probably get away with cutting the Misdirection. Could be a reasonable cut. It doesn't stop Duress. It does stop Cabal Therapy because you can target a player with that, but then they can just name any card that's legal in the format. Otherwise, probably some cantrips. Just shave down some cards, trim to form, really. Um,
yeah, I
but
agree.
let's go on ahead and get down to that match and pick up our bonus game since we had that for our round one. All right, and it looks like we've got a pair of Keepable Hands and a Keepable Seven. So, starting off with a beautifully altered island and just a regular one afterwards. All right, well, I guess.
Those are nice.
No, they're beautiful. Okay, well, there's a survival, so let's see if that, yep, gets countered immediately. Can't blame you there.
No.
Now, it looks like we've got, what, Dreadnought. I think I saw
Oh, that's a wonderful
Gemstone.
altar.
Or Devour, excuse me. Oh my goodness. I was so distracted
And we're
looking
just
at Dan's hand to see. I'm just going to sit here and just drool over this Mistress Factory over here. That is one of the downsides to doing deck lists over deck photos is we don't get to see all of the beautiful cardboard that people have.
I know.
Okay, and a Cabal Therapy
Okay.
here. Do we name Counterspell, I'm guessing? Okay, Days.
Ooh.
All right, so that is important. And uh, good guy over here, making sure he plays face up for the camera. Appreciate that.
What are we seeing? I see a Devourer in Dan's hand.
I saw a Devourer. I think I might have seen a second Survival, which I think is
Okay.
what we're doing here. Is we baited with the Cabal therapy to see if we can stop a counterspell or something. But Daze wasn't the name, unfortunately. So now we're gonna need to draw. I was gonna say Birds of Paradise to activate this Cabal therapy, but we could just, if we have the Survival, which I think I saw, like I said, that would allow us to start getting in there, unless that last card was like a foil or something.
I also see a Volra Shapeshifter. So if Devourer and Shapeshifter are already in hand, ooh,
Oh,
a second counterspell.
as a good old Moto Shuffler glitch. He
Yeah, no doubt.
probably named that with the Cabal therapy and just immediately got punished. All right, and we're
And now we're
floating
gonna
two
see a Gush here.
in Gush, which by the way, God, look at that Gush altar and look at that Days alt.
Oh, I
This is a beautiful, like, somebody plays Dreadnought a lot. Has put their time into it for sure. All
know.
right,
That
we get.
also is not going to be good for a Dreadnought player. 2 blue mana, he just puts it right into the Mistress Factory. Doesn't have a cantrip or something to go with that Dreadnought. That's not where we want to be.
All right, we've got just a hardcast Volrath Shapeshifter. Looks like it's gonna resolve here.
Oof. Oh,
Oh,
no.
and we
It's a foil.
sacrificed. Wait,
Wow.
did oh
It got
okay.
foiled
I'm
there,
sorry. For
yeah.
some reason, I thought we were getting a Cabal Therapy flashback, but no, that was a hardcast. Okay, that makes far more sense. I just thought we were getting cards revealed. Goodness.
Mm-mm.
All
It
right.
also looks like the birds is trying to be Day's bait, but did not fall for the bait.
Now I think I might have seen a animate dead
Yeah, it's like there's an anime dead and an
in
unearth
hand,
in the
and
grip right now, yeah.
okay, well that and then the Phyrexian Devour would be the last card there,
Yeah, yeah.
which could be pretty useful here. So we've got two in hand, or four in hand, two unknowns. I think we just try to. Well,
Ooh,
that is a threatening card. I think I saw Gush in Jonathan's hands,
okay. Yeah.
and leaving
And I
one
agree,
floating.
using it here, you've got to get rid of this Hermit Druid
Oh yeah,
before Dan is able to activate it.
yeah. That is truly the scary card. And we are continuing to dig. Opt. So if Dan, you want that to go quickly to the bottom. The fact that we're deliberating is not. That's not something you love to see as
No,
the
no,
H.V.B
it's not.
player. So yeah, it's Unearth. Okay, it is Unearth, Animate Dead, and Devourer. And I think we can just pretty safely unearth this shapeshifter, and I think that's kind of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
That way you have, no, honestly, it's shapeshifter. Okay, impulse and response. Again, Jonathan is absolutely respecting the threat that shapeshifter presents. And, you were saying earlier as you were talking about the list how we're playing three instead of two. That certainly does help in this kind of a matchup because obviously that shapeshifter goes away, you can't do much. So I respect it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, so I
Right.
see an Essence Flare, another land, and another Dreadnought in hand. So
Right. So he's got a
yeah,
full house right now of cards that aren't
yeah,
the most helpful, but an Essence Flare can at least kill. Well, it could kill the Hermit Druid, but our Druid player
yeah.
would
It's gonna
have the
be
chance to flip their library first. Although you don't want to do that on your upkeep, especially against a deck with counter spells. So I
Yeah.
think we're
But this isn't
probably gonna let that die.
yeah, like this is an interesting thing now because now the Volrap shapeshifter is a hermit druid
Yes, it is.
and it now is not summoning six, so it's essentially an active hermit druid sitting on the stack here
True.
or sitting on the board.
True. Now it does have the small issue of if you try to activate it, then it's going to be tapped, and then you're going to have no deck.
Yes. So you're going to have to be able to unearth a second Volrap shapeshifter to be able to do the Psychotog Karmic Guide attack with an Achroma line.
Yes. Let's see here. We're tapping this bird, and that is a. So we
Looks like
picked
a
up a
Palinchron was drawn
Palinchron,
for
yeah.
turn. Yeah.
Yes, it looks like he is kind of debating on what the appropriate line here is.
Mm-hmm. And it's just so much of the complexity of the H.F.B. There's so many lines here of what can be done, and you have
Yes.
to do everything perfectly in order just because of how wonky Vorab Shapeshifter is. You have to do it all at the right timing to make sure that Shapeshifter is the right creature that you want it to be at any given point.
Yes. And that's why I do not play this deck. It'll make your head hurt for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Looks like we're floating a mana of some sort. And he's pulling out like a ball therapy. Now he could just be checking his opponent's hand. Now we know we've got days, but if you're therapying your
Mhm.
opponent here, what are you thinking we're going for? We've already cast one foil and two counter spells.
So something interesting here that Dan can do because he has a flyer. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's checking for something almost like Chain of Vapor or something. So what he can do here is pitch the Devour to uh, the the ability here,
Oh,
activate Devourer multiple times over, holding priority. So the 1/1 counters actually never go onto the shapeshifter, and then
yeah,
make
that's right.
the
Because
shapeshifter a Palinchron, and then put a bunch of 1/1 counters on it with the Devourer. So it looks like that's going to be what he's doing right here.
okay,
And
yeah,
cards
that's
like Counterspell, Daze, none of that matters because he's not actually casting a spell. He's using the activated ability on the shapeshifter.
yeah. I see Jonathan here is
Okay.
kind of tapping on it, like, hey, like, doesn't that trigger go on the stack? But the way he's gesturing here, I think he's absolutely
That's,
on that line. And yeah,
yeah.
because and yeah, that does work because the activated ability for Phyrexian Devour is just exile the top card of your library, colon. So that
Yeah.
way you get to see the okay, yes, that's a heads up play right there.
Yeah, that definitely is. This is not a normal line that this deck does, but definitely one it has access to. So yeah. Now it's a Palinchron. Now it's going to get all these 1/1 counters.
Yeah.
It looks like Dan is explaining it, Jonathan, just making sure that everything's all on the up and up here.
Yeah, of course.
So
And yeah, it looks like as soon as that Varas shapeshifter connects, yep, and we are packing it in, and there we go. Dan picking up that one. So, and that is actually going to be it for us here. And we're going to be back more this Friday, actually, with more pre modern content from Through the Decades in Louisville, Kentucky.